As people are arriving, maybe they're coming in now. How many of you grew up in the church? Did they let you bring cinnamon rolls and coffee in the sanctuary? Did they bounce beach balls around on you during the closing hymn? It's a joyful place, and you know, so often when the service is about to start, Pastor Katrina and I will look at each other and just say, we are so lucky. We are so lucky because of you and because of the good spirit of this place. So these things that we do that are kind of, you know, a little wacky maybe, but it's all about building a joyful community. I told the bishop when he was coming from Chicago, I said, don't bring any investments. You don't need any investments, no big bishop gear. We're going to give you a T-shirt, but you're just going to come into a place of gratitude, which it says on our red shirts. And we don't take that for granted, the good spirit of this place. And it allows us to do much good in the community. So, and our two bishops are just about to roll back in, I think. So this week we've been giving away a lot of money this week. And it was all planned, and it was a part of a congregational vote that we had in June as well. And it's thanks to the endowment, and it's thanks to your generosity. So what I'd like to do as we start here, can we just run the local benevolences? This is a roll call of money. Slow those things down a little bit if you can. Maybe you can't. But there you see, Meals on Wheels, Grace Landing, Helping Hand of South Whitby, Friends of Friends, Mother Mentors, the Tiny Homes for Christ in Langley, the Whitby Homeless Coalition, the Harbor Inn Alliance, which is right over here, helping our neighbors. Run that through one more time, James, if you will. I don't know if you can slow that down at all, but just to see this one more time. Whitby Island, whoops, it's like speed reading. Whitby Island Nourishes, Gifts from the Heart Food Bank, Good Cheer Food Bank. You're feeding your neighbors, folks. Meals on Wheels, Grace Landing, Helping Hand of South Whitby, Friends of Friends, Medical Support, Mother Mentors, Tiny Homes in the Name of Christ, the Whitby Homeless Coalition, and the Harbor Inn Alliance. Local benevolences, all in the last week, $180,000 went out of here. And you'll see those checks in the gym on the wall, so there's that. But where is Sharon Magnuson here right now? Where's Sharon at? Come on. Sharon is our good friend who works for the LCA and has been with us many times. And Sharon, we didn't forget you. So we sent out money this week as well, that 180 locally, but we have a check for you. It's not a real check, don't try to cash it. The money's already in the bank. But ELCA Hunger Appeal, $45,000 we sent to them this week. $45,000. Thank you. And we so value our partnership with you. You come and visit us awful, and we're grateful. And the ELCA Domestic Disaster Relief, another $25,000 sent out this week to them. And the ELCA International Disaster, which includes Venezuela and Gaza and Eastern Europe, we sent $30,000 out this week to them as well. So I think that takes us up with the ELCA to about $100,000. And Bishop Shelley was come to visit. So we also, you were off at a gathering of ELCA clergy, of which none of us were there. But anyway, a lot of people there. We put $10,000 in your bishop's caring fund this week. So that's in your bishop's caring fund for your discretion. And yeah, so that's for you as well. And what are the other ones I have? The scholarships I mentioned, the endowment scholarships, the 46 students, $192,000. Those checks were written this week as well. And we kind of called this whole effort Jubilee 2026, and all told this week, $527,000 given away from you. And it's not magic, because I said it's because of you. Bishop Shelley, we got a spot for you. Bishop Curry, come on up right here. And we're just going to have a little visiting here together. I should say, too, thanks to our quilters for the quilts. Thanks to Verna Lawson for the flowers and the display out there. Thanks to Marcy Bovitz for the decorations. Thanks to the choir for coming out in the summer. Bishop Curry, we have a connection. We have a connection to my hometown, DeKalb, Illinois. Bishop Curry's mother and Felicia's father both had careers teaching at Northern Illinois University in DeKalb, Illinois, where I graduated without honors, I might add, simply by the grace of my professors. That's what it was. But Bishop Curry, I kind of have a bit of a question for you. We have a little statue and a little nutcracker out there of Martin Luther. You know Martin Luther, right?
Yep.
And so there's a rumor running through the congregation that you are siding with the Pope and cheering for the White Sox. Is that right? Huh? Cheering? You're on. Cheering for the Chicago White Sox. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Hey, quiet.
Yes. It is all about location. Anyone from Chicago will tell you if you are south of a street called Madison, we typically are White Sox fans. If you're north, you're Cubs. So you are correct. I am a White Sox fan.
Okay, I'm a Cubs fan, but we're hoping to get you over on our side before it's over. But remember the Reformation.
Have a better record this year.
So we're so honored by your presence, and LaShonda, if she's in here, LaShonda was so honored by her presence as well. You have 3 lovely daughters, and one of them is an ELCA pastor who just was ordained in January. Yes. So we're thankful for that as well. So I just want to ask you, Bishop Curry, you're less than a year into this incredible calling that you have. God has called you to serve in this way. I'm just kind of wondering, less than a year in, what is it as you scan the horizon? What gives you hope?
I was at the rostered ministers gathering in Indianapolis just prior to coming to here. And one of the things I shared with them is when I was a mission developer, building a congregation, I often wondered, well, what's going on with the synod and the church-wide office? And then when I became a synodical bishop, I began to wonder, why can't people see what we're doing here in Metro Chicago? And now that I'm the presiding bishop, I'm trying to figure out, why don't we all know what each other's doing? And it has everything to do with the vantage point from which we experience ministry. And so what gives me hope is that there is unique ministry happening in every context, and we just have to be present. There are things that I've learned in this service that I would never have learned if I wasn't here. I get this experience every week. Every week you become my teachers. Every week I get to go back and say, I have found some new musicians, some great preachers. Here's a ministry we could try in another place. If there's a grand opportunity. And so I've joked with staff to say, I don't have to come up with any more new ideas. I just take them from you when I show up. And so that's what gives me hope.
You're out with different congregations. Are we your favorite, do you think?
Well, I've just got to say, the hospitality has just been amazing. I've not experienced this level of hospitality, so thank you again for that.
Yeah, very good. So, Bishop Shelley, you've served so faithfully, all of us. Assistant to Bishop first, the past 7 years as our bishop. Last year, you even brought me out of retirement from Synod assemblies to show up to vote for you. It was a long 2 hours, but I was happy to vote for you, and we both made it through. But as our leader, as a pastor to the pastors in our synod, you're around the synod all the time. As you do that work, I know there are lots of trials and tribulations, but what gives you joy in your work?
Well, today it gives me joy in my work. So I want to say, before I answer the question, can I take a point of personal privilege?
You're the bishop.
I want to say also thank you, Bishop Curry, for being here. in our synod, in the Northwest Washington Synod. It is such a blessing to have you here with all of the many travels that you are doing. We were just together in Indianapolis last week, and I know you have other things that are happening. And for you to take the time to travel, and it's not easy to get to Whidbey Island. You have to take a multitude of personal transportation to get here. So thank you, and thank you, LaShonda, for also what you. Where is she? She's not even listening to us. But thank you for taking this time and for being here in the synod. And I have a gift for you from the synod. Also, I noticed you can touch the ground on this stool, and I'm like way, like I'm dangling my feet. Anyway, here's a gift from the Northwest Washington Synod to you. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So thank you so much. And now, what brings me joy? When my greatest joy is being a pastor in the synod. And so when I get to be a pastor, I am full of joy. And I feel that when I am with congregations, it's a little different than when I was in a parish. But when I go and when I'm sitting with people in their joys, like today, this is wonderful that I can be invited into. When I'm in a place where perhaps there's sorrow or there's some acrimony or there's difficulty, even then I am so full of joy to be able to be there, because as a pastor, to be able to go and to share in what it is that is happening in life, and also to be able to share the good news of Jesus, that is what gives me joy and hope. I was one of my favorite scripture verses is from Acts 17, when Paul goes into where is he going into? He's not in Rome. Greece. He's in Greece. Yes, Athens. He's in Athens. And he goes into Athens, and he sees all of these statues of all of these gods all around. And then he points to a statue that just says, "To the unknown God." And he said, "This is God. Let me tell you about God. Let me tell you about Jesus." And then one of the things that he says is, "I live and move and have my being in God. And God lives and moves and has his being in us." And that is joy. When we can be full, all of us together, and know that we are living and moving and having our being in God, in whatever it is, because life isn't always full of happiness and joy. Life sometimes also is a struggle. And yet, when we know that we are living and moving and having our being in God, and God has lives and moves and breathes and has his being in us, then we can be together, and that's what gives me joy. Yeah.
Bishop Shelley. So Acts 17, Bishop Curry, is there a go-to Bible verse or something? There's a lot in the Bible, of course, but are there verses that you go to that give you inspiration?
In Jeremiah, there's often a text I reflect on, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Mm-hmm. And so this idea that we get to be our full self, God calls you exactly who you are. And when I say call you, I'm not just talking about as a rostered leader. It could be in the medical field. It could be a teacher. You could work for the government, but you should know that God calls us exactly as we are, with all of our issues, with all of our trepidation, with all of our doubts and fears. So that's something that I reflect on, that I'm going into this, thank you, with understanding that God calls me exactly as I am. So thank you.
Good, very good. I'd like to go back in my own. Someone asked me this question recently. That's why I brought this up. And you might have something else to add to this, Bishop Shelley. But they asked me, and I said, well, my go-to would be the workers in the vineyard, because it has a way of stamping out self-righteousness. But it also reminds us that grumpy people are going to be grumpy people, you know. And we need to not be grumpy Christians. You know, Dan Erlander was on our staff for 10 years, and he would always give me these little, every time I get done preaching, there'd be a cartoon he'd hand to me, and sometimes it was like, no grumpy people. You know, he'd show these grumpy Christians going around. So, but anyway, and I always think too, you know, if we stick to Jesus, stick to that story, those teachings took down the Roman Empire. If we stick to that, we can do great things in the name of Christ. Do you have anything else to add to that, Bishop?
I want to say one. So I had the honor 2 weeks ago. So as bishop, you're on different committees in the Conference of Bishops, and one of the committees that I'm on or team. Do we call them committees or teams? I don't know. Anyway, whatever they are. And I'm on the team that forms new bishops. So I'm on the new bishops formation team. So I get to go to Chicago twice a year when there are new bishops elected to help in their formation process and teach them and hopefully help them as they begin. So 2 weeks ago was the new bishops formation in Chicago, and we have 7 new bishops, which is awesome. And I had the privilege of preaching, not just for the new bishops, but for the entire church-wide organization. I'm getting to what you're asking. So I preached on Zechariah. I have never preached on Zechariah in my life, but there is a verse in Zechariah that I discovered in preaching, and it's from Zechariah chapter 4. And Zechariah God says through Zechariah, not by power, not by might, by my Spirit. And I thought, that is what it is. It's not by might and it's not by power, because that is what we are hearing in this world so much, that it's about who can be the ugliest, who can be the meanest, who can have power over others. And I mean that for everybody, and yet it's by my Spirit. It's by God's Spirit that the world is changed. It's through Jesus that the world was changed and continues to be changed. And so that is the verse that I am carrying with me right now, is not by might, not by strength, by my Spirit.
Fed and forgiven, we send these 400 people out from this place today, and you just think of what that can do, that leaven. In South Whitby, as they travel to Seattle, on the mainland, the leaven that leaves this place every Sunday can make a real difference. Making a difference, going very much with your sermon. Bishop Curry, before we kind of open up for a few questions, do you have anything else you want to tell these people? Anything?
Yeah, I want to I'm someone who always feel like if I have to know what's coming. So I want to share with you just quickly what I've been sharing when I travel. And 2026, the one message that I'm always sharing is a message of connection. We have a priority statement that says we are a connected church. We are a sustainable church, and that we would raise the bar together. And so I saw that statement and said, what if I broke it up in 3 years and just allow us to just really focus on what it means to be connected. And right here, we have the 3 expressions of our church. Church-wide organization, the Synod office, and the congregation. How might we be better connected? So that's a big focus. In 2027, sustainability, whenever you hear that, you think about governance. But I see it as care of creation. I see it as leadership development. How might we better sustain what we've been entrusted to? The last one is kind of tricky, raising the bar together. I shifted that to say we will be a reforming church, and that's because in the year 2029, we will celebrate, and I'm about to get a little Lutheran here right now. There are these teaching documents that we refer to as the large and small catechism. It's the way that it's the work we do in our Sunday schools. And that's a 450-year anniversary. And then there's a larger document called the Augsburg Confession that'll have a 500-year anniversary. So because we'll have these anniversaries, is this an opportunity for us to be reminded about how we can do catechesis, how we can do education, how we can do Bible study, how we can lift up the lay leaders that have this gift of teaching in our churches. So that'll be our focus for 2028. So 26 is connecting, 27 is sustainability, 28 is what I'm referring to as reforming, looking back but sailing forward.
Deacon Amy and Pastor Katrina are going to be teaching the small catechism course this fall for adults, for grown-ups. So an opportunity for all of us to take that class with two really gifted teachers as well. So if you have anything else to add, Bishop Shelley, before I go out and see if we have any questions. Any questions? Yeah. Oh my goodness, the hands are going up. I've got 1, 2, 3.
All right, I was wondering, why is it that bishops can only move diagonally? I've always wondered. No. I do have a real question, actually. So those of us in the pews, we may be involved in our local congregation, but we don't necessarily have a lot of insight or vision into what happens at the synod level or the church-wide level. And I was just wondering if you could say a few words about kind of what your role is as bishops. Like, do you get to tell Pastor Jim what to do, for example?
And does he listen?
I'll let Shelley start, but I appreciate that because really we're contextual, right? And before I was elected to the Bishop of Metro Chicago, I had never served on a committee or any. I was so focused on the work. But what ended up happening is others in the Senate were paying attention, and that's how my name got lifted up. So I want to just start off by saying that's real, because it's the vineyard in which God has called us to, by which we're living, worshiping. That's typically where we first are informed. Maybe Bishop Shelley can talk a little bit about kind of how that now involves the role of the Senate, and I can then give just a sentence or two of then how that then connects to the larger church-wide as it relates to roles.
So, for those of you who don't know, Bishop Curry and I were actually elected as synod bishops in 2019. We were part of the same class of 2019. If you remember, 6 months after we were, do you remember this? COVID hit. So I started August 1st. Did you start August 1st or September 1st?
September 1st.
Yeah. So I started August 1st. He started September 1st, and March of 2020. We all remember that. So it took a while to figure out what is our role in what we do as synod pastors, because the world was just changing, and the world has changed a lot from what I thought I would be doing as bishop in 2019 to now bishop in 2026. I think that's good. That's good what we're seeing. Some of the nuts and bolts of what I do as synod bishop is that I'm one of the ways that someone has said to me, well, maybe it'd be helpful if you said it this way, that you're like the superintendent of schools, and the congregations are the schools, and the pastors are like the principals. And that kind of works. It's not completely right, but it works where I don't, overall, I can't tell Pastor Jim or Pastor Katrina or Deacon Amy what to do, but I can tell them some things what to do. So, so it's kind of like that, and I can't tell a congregation overall what to do either. Until you do something, then I'm like, well, no, you can't do that, because you're all a congregation, and you're your place. And I am here the synod office is here to help, to guide, to affirm, and sometimes to provide correction if need be, both for rostered ministers and for congregations. We help when there is a rostered minister that is going to be called. For instance, when Deacon Amy was called here. I was part of that process as the assistant to the bishop a long time ago. And now, as bishop, I helped with Pastor Katrina being called here. So we do that. And there's those kinds of things that we do, but mostly I would say we do what the word synod means, which means to journey together. We are journeying together. And just as we want the whole ELCA to be a connected church, in the synod, we are working towards being a connected synod. And the reason that I allowed my name to go forward back in 2019, and I said, yes, I'm willing to be bishop, is because I wanted lay people to be as connected as rostered ministers are connected. There's opportunity for rostered ministers to come together. There's not always as much for lay people to go beyond congregation and to meet up with others. And so we've started in this synod some lay ministry opportunities. For instance, the LIVE project, if you want to look that up, Living into Vocational Engagement. The congregation joins, your congregation would join, and then you can take whatever you would like to take. And then we have lay ministry formation. So individually, if you want to dive deeper into your faith and meet people from around the synod, that's something that I'm very excited about, and I'd love for you to look more into it. But mostly, we are journeying together. We want to be able to support you and to affirm what you are already doing, because that's right here is the ground zero. This is what church is about. The synod wouldn't exist without, we only are here to be with you. Why would you have a synod without congregation? So
Can we thank Bishop Shelley for Deacon Amy and Pastor Katrina? Thank you. Okay, we have a question back here.
Yes, I want to know two things. You know Pope Bob, as my wife refers to him, because he grew up in Chicago. And secondly, how does a guy who went to Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, and Catholic college end up in the Lutheran Church?
How did you end up here?
I love you and you people. And it's my wife.
Okay, you can go ahead and answer that, and then we'll go from here.
This will be really short. The easy answer is that lady over there in the cafeteria. But Pope Leo ended up growing up about 1 mile away from the congregation that I developed in the south suburb. We were supposed to meet each other. We haven't as of yet, but I look forward to the opportunity. I was at a university. I joined a choir because it's a longer story about how me and LaShonda met. I could tell you that another time. I need to tell you that story. But anyway, she was in the choir. I joined the choir after college. The person who ran the choir said, there's this new ministry that's helping kids go to camp. I was a 7th grade teacher. I went to go and hear about this camping ministry and learned that it was a Lutheran church. So I joined without knowing that it was a Lutheran church. And it's the same thing that's happening here. When I hear your pastor talk about, what happens is we move towards ministry, right? We move towards fire. We move towards that thing that moves us. And so I wasn't geared to look for denomination. I was looking for where the Spirit was moving. And that happened to be at the Lutheran Church. And so I was full in 3 years before a bishop showed up and told me I was Lutheran. So,
Pastor Curry, my wife and I are kind of visiting members of the congregation, but our welcome to you is 8 Whidbey Island Dungeness crabs. They're in the cooler, cleaned, cooked, ready to eat today. And eat them fresh. And I'm laying bets that you'll say Whidbey Island crabs are the best tasting crabs in the country.
they are.
I hope it got to you. I had a little gift, a letter and a gift. It was a DVD on Martin Luther from PBS. And the reason I gave that to you is, and both of you bishops, is Reformation Sunday comes and goes every year in Lutheran Church, and I've witnessed it how many times. And sometimes we don't take time to reflect and educate all of us about the impact of Martin Luther, most especially his items of faith that now we often take for granted. But we, as Lutherans, yes, proud to identify as Lutherans, because these key articles of faith of the Lutheran Church, and even Lutherans, so many Lutherans I find, the Diet of Worms, what is that? They don't, wait a minute. Luther's peroration of "Here I Stand" needs to be reminders of all of us as Lutherans, our heritage of standing for, in God's face of God, our individual conscience. And what I'm saying is I gave you the DVD. I hope you review it. It's available on streaming. Reformation Sunday, you could have sessions for especially confirmation, all kids coming through confirmation. This is our heritage. This is why you're brought up in this Lutheran church. And the important articles of faith. And I went to a Lutheran college. I wasn't Lutheran when I Lutheran college, but watching a video in college about Martin Luther and the key articles of faith: justification by faith, priesthood of all believers, primacy of individual conscience, primacy of faith, etc., stuck with me. Amazing, something stuck with me on religion from college. But I'm saying perhaps in Lutheran Church broadly, on Reformation Sunday, little educational sessions or informational, whatever, why we're Lutherans. And the DVD, it's from PBS, narrated by Liam Neeson. It's now 20 years old, but it's excellent. And wouldn't you say, Jim?
Yeah,
it's excellent. As a reminder of key articles of Christian faith brought by Luther, that we can have pride as heritage. That's our heritage as Lutherans, and say why we're Lutherans instead of Episcopalians or whatever. And
Okay, there was no question there, but eight crabs will buy you a lot of grace. So, any response to that? And we're going to take one more question.
The work I was just talking about, we have colleges, universities, and seminaries working to see how better to put up resource websites to be able to kind of talk about some of those rich doctrines that we can continue to share. Thanks.
Could I add one thing? I don't know if you know this about Bishop Curry, and correct me if I'm wrong as I say this, okay? So Bishop Curry, he mentioned that he just walked into a place. He was going to talk about camping. It ended up being a Lutheran church. Later, he ended up becoming the mission director of this place, and he entered seminary through the team. And part of what your giving does is when it goes to the synod, and then part of it, and then 47% of it next year, 48% goes to church-wide. Part of that is helping with team. And so when Bishop Curry entered seminary to learn what Lutheran theology is, and to discover more about that is, you were all helping Bishop Curry to learn in coming later into what Lutheran theology is. So I want to thank all of you for Bishop Curry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Back there.
Want to thank you for taking the time to visit our congregation and see what makes us so special. I would call attention to the display that we've set up out here in the narthex that just gives a small portion of a view of what we as a congregation contribute to the community of Whidbey Island and to many lands beyond. So take a look and see what our congregation is doing. So.
Okay. We don't always ask questions, but we're going to have to break. We could go all day, but we got to break because we got to get some of you out of the parking lot to get the next group in. But just join me in thanking our bishops for being here.